Hi, and welcome back to the Dawn Show. Dawn Sens-Lamenti here. So my guest is Carmen Ferrigno, who's Vice President of Communications for St. Gobain. And of course, the Green Build Expo is coming up. You know me, I am always talking about solutions and the people who are part of the solutions. And certainly St. Gobain, a $58 billion company that's from Mars across the globe, is part of the solutions. So how are they going to save you money? Well, Carmen is here to tell us all about it. How are you?
Thanks, Dawn. Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Yes, St. Gobain is an unusual company. It's a company that very few people in the U.S. know, but it's actually one that was started in 1665 by Louis XIV in France.
So if you've been to Versailles, which I have, and visited that, my stepdaughter at the time was going through high school and learned all about that interesting glass and the glass makers.
That's exactly it. They were hired to be the first people to make that type of, that hall of mirrors in Versailles, and the engineering behind it to actually make the Sun King. And funnily enough, they're still making glass now. We always say it's from Sun King to solar, so they make solar panels now in harnessing the same power of the sun. And as you said, even on the Mars rover, that little crystal that is on the Mars rover that tests to see if there's water and potentially life was actually made in St. Gobain.
And in the smartphones, the iPhone.
And in smartphones, yeah. I mean, really, when you look at it, $58 billion global company, $8 billion in the U.S., they make so many things that few people know, including CertainTeed, the U.S.'s biggest building materials company. So that's why we're at Green Build, is to bring all these things together back to Philadelphia.
And so we want to bring it home for people because, first of all, I hope that you've heard about Green Build. This is an exciting project that's going on right now in Philadelphia, and it's bringing a lot of biggity-bigs and famous people and really shining a light on Philadelphia, and I know you're excited about it.
Oh, we are, absolutely. Hillary Clinton is coming in. John Bon Jovi is actually doing a concert. And really all designed to bring more awareness about this idea that green technologies are available to everyone.
And we have the ribbon cutting, in fact, at the Navy Yard that just happened recently. It was an exciting moment to say we're here and we want to celebrate this.
And the Navy Yard's amazing because you think about this place that had never had families living in it. And you can look at some of the footage and realize that's a net zero house. That means that's a house that when you plug it in, doesn't have to tie into the grid system. It can generate power from the solar panels, the insulation, the roofing materials, all of those systems working together to make a home that somebody can live in that's a lot less expensive and a lot greener.
And I guess that's what's interesting to me is, people might say, oh, well, solar panels, how much is that going to cost? The roof that's specially built, how much is that going to cost? So how do you break that down for the average homeowner to say, we're going to save you this much, you're not going to have that high energy bill that you can't afford in January?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. We call it total cost of ownership, and it's this idea of looking at what's the cost to put that material in your home. What's the out-of-pocket cost? And even with rebates and things like that from the government, when you add it all up, when do you start making money on those green investments? So usually it's a cutover period of between 7 and 10 years, and what we're trying to do is when you use systems together, like insulation or solar or different types of roofing materials, can you get that period to 3 to 5 years? Because then people can realize that I have a child who's 5, and by the time they're 10, we're going to have more money to put away for them to go to college. And it's practical things. It's not big things that happen in Washington. It's what we call kitchen table conversations.
Yeah, and I think it's something that more and more people are aware of and want to be green and now our kids are learning in school about making a personal footprint. And that's really what your company does, right? And so you're here to sort of break it down for us.
It is, and I think when you look at how many times you can see this issue of how do regular families make it in a world where the economy, we had the biggest recession since the Great Depression. So how do we give them materials that allow them to actually put more money in their pocket? And it really is a process, looking at what your home is like, looking at where you live. If you live in a row home, does a white kind of elastomeric roof coating, those what they call white roofs, reflecting the sun, does that save you money? Or if you're in a residential home in the suburbs somewhere, what's the best system, whether it's siding or whether it's a new roof, et cetera. So you've really got to sit down with an individual. And that's what we do. We have building scientists, people who are actually made it their careers to study how buildings work, and not just big buildings. We're talking about homes, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom homes where people really live. And it's exciting, but it does take some outreach. And that's why Green Build is so cool, because you can go there and see just about every cutting edge technology side by side and how they work together.
So a lot of people, I've had doctors tell me, with the Affordable Care Act, let's take that as an example here. They've said, they have a lot of lawyers and a lot of legislators, but nobody brought in doctors and nurses and asked us how to make this work. So with your company, is this something where you're in Washington, where you're trying to reach out to legislators and saying, hey, talk to our builders or our physicists or our engineers so that you know what's going on, hands-on?
It has to be. I think that the issues that you can see with Washington, where it's hard to get things through, what we say is it's really got to be of the people and for the people. And that's what we love about Philadelphia. I mean, the country started here with this idea of having people come together to understand what people need. And I think having real conversations of what it's like if you're a doctor and you need to have a more sterile operating room or a quieter environment. We have systems for operating rooms. We have bag systems that aren't even related to building and construction that reduce the cost of infections. Or how about in a hospital bedroom, when you're in a quieter room, you heal faster and take less pain medicine.
So this is all Saint-Gobain?
It's all part of Saint-Gobain. Yeah, Saint-Gobain, when we think about that idea of how to be in the room with people when they're planning. So not just to come in after it's already made. You really have to bring the patient into the hospital room before it's built and say, what do they need? And Saint-Gobain, because it has so many different divisions, we can show you which types of people, what type of experiences you can have. And when we bring all those things together, that's when we see kind of this big compound impact, which is exactly why we go to Greenbuild.
Yeah, and I love not only Greenbuild, but I love that you reach out to young people and have a nonprofit to help them to be the future builders of the world.
Yeah, we have a nonprofit that gives away $1.3 million in the U.S. every year. And a big portion of that goes to a group called Youth Build that in the city of Philadelphia has done phenomenal things on Green Street of all places. They took a building that was an eyesore, abandoned for 20 years, and made it a LEED Platinum building. And it was really taking, young adults who maybe were, off the path, they weren't going to school, and Youth Build brings them in and teaches them how to be green contractors at their charter school on Broad Street. So to partner with them was phenomenal because it's the next generation. It's the millennials, actually. We're handing the torch off to them, but it's a green torch.
Yeah.
It's a bigger deal.
We love it. More on the Green Torch and Greenbuild when the Dawn Show continues.
Well, Saint-Gobain is the reference for sustainable habitat, and we have international goals to reduce water, energy, and waste, and we try to do that residentially and also in commercial buildings. This to me serves as an example of what we can be and what we can do around the world. This is not just about Philadelphia, this is not just about energy reduction in North America, but this can serve as an example of what we can do around the world. I think this could be a springboard for helping to reduce energy in homes, which make up 40% of energy around the world.
We are talking about going green here on the Dawn Show. So it's only appropriate that Carmen Ferrigno of Saint-Gobain is also related to the Green Man, the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, right? You're a distant relative?
That's what we've been told, yeah. It's not easy being green most of the time. But this time I think it is.
Yeah, for you it is. So what's coming up next week?
Next week, Greenbuild, it will be in full swing on November 20th and 21st, so I'd absolutely ask people to check that out. Check us out online at saintgobain.com. Look at our Twitter feeds, and especially CertainTeed, who's our building and construction wing. They have some amazing things going on.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much. I always say I love to meet people and interview people who are a part of the solutions and paying it forward, and that certainly is you and your company. So thanks so much for telling us what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Dawn. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Carmen. I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on The Dawn Show.